From the campus of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, consider this with Cathy Wyatt, a program of issues and information behind today's news.
A vibrant new home for creativity in Omaha. Inside this beautiful new space, state-of-the-art classrooms, rehearsal studios, and gathering spaces bring people of all ages together to learn, explore, and experience the arts through classes, camps, and performances.
Hi everyone, I'm Cathy Wyatt. Welcome to the 29th season and this week's edition of Consider This. Our topic, Tenaska Center for Arts Engagement. Joining us to talk more about it is Andy Cassano. Andy is the Vice President of Programming and Education for Omaha Performing Arts. Thank you so much for being here and welcome.
I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. I want to start with, what is OPA?
OPA is Omaha Performing Arts. We are the umbrella organization that owns and runs the Holland Center, as well as we run the Orpheum Theater and Steelhouse Omaha, and now the Tenaska Center for Arts Engagement.
Mission so important for organizations. Share with our viewers what that mission is for OPA.
Well, our mission is to create extraordinary experiences that engage, inspire, and connect. And that's a very, very simple vision, but we do that through the best performing arts that the world has to offer. We do it through education and engagement experiences, and we do it through stewarding the incredible venues that we are so privileged to be a part of. Okay,
before we talk about the history of OPA, I want you to take our viewers back to the late 90s. What was happening in Omaha at that time?
Well, at the time, there was a number of community leaders in Omaha that really wanted to bridge and combine the performing arts organizations so that the performing arts in Omaha could be very comparative to a lot of the other major cities in the United States. And one of these ways was bringing them together under the umbrella of a state-of-the-art performing arts center, which is now the Holland Performing Arts Center.
Okay, so you just are getting started in 2000, and you mentioned the Orpheum, the Holland, and the Steelhouse, but we're going to put them up one at a time for our viewers. Let's start with the Orpheum Theater.
Orpheum Theater is a landmark in Omaha, one of the few leftover Orpheum theaters in the United States. It's where we do all of our Broadway. It's where the Omaha Opera is and the ballet company. But we do so many wonderful performances, and it's going to be celebrating its 100th anniversary in just 18 months, and it does not look it at all because of the care and stewardship that this organization has taken care of.
Wow. All right, on to the Holland. Go ahead.
It just celebrated its 20th anniversary. It is where the Omaha Symphony performs and where we have a raft of wonderful concerts. There is a 2,000-seat concert hall in there that is one of the most brilliant acoustic halls in the nation. And I don't say that as an Omaha native. I say it as a person that's traveled to a lot of wonderful venues. We also have the Holland Music Club in there, and this is also where the Tenaska Center is, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Okay, and finally, Steelhouse.
It is our newest baby, built in 2023. It's right across the street from the Holland Center. All three very, very different venues. So Steelhouse Omaha actually has no seats on the ground floor. It's made for a lot of standing concerts. We do put seats in there as well too, but it was really designed so that it could attract a number of concerts that were skipping the Omaha market that now we have the ability to present.
Wow, all of that again through Omaha Performing Arts. So on March 19th, OPA officially opens the doors of the latest edition of the Dick and Mary Holland campus, right? Before we talk about that, I want to put up a video for our viewers here so they can actually see this ribbon cutting taking place. Andy, as you're looking at that, I mean, this was years in the making. How are you feeling when you see that video?
I feel absolutely energized because even though, as you said, this was years in the making, I mean, this completed the master plan for the Dick and Mary Holland campus. This process, including Steelhouse, was a 10-year visioning process and creation process. But even though the doors just opened, we are just getting started because we've got all the events that are going to be going in there. And so we're just extremely excited.
All right, what is the story behind the name of the Tenaska Center?
Well, the Tenaska Center is named after the Tenaska Company, which is it's an energy company that's based in Omaha. But we also were very intentional about calling it the Center for Arts Engagement, not an education center. And while we are going to be doing education, we really wanted this building to be a focal point and a touch point for every member of the community to use the performing arts to engage some way in their life.
Okay, which goes into my next question. So you're walking down the street and somebody says, hey, aren't you associated with that Tenaska Center for Arts Engagement? And you say, I sure am. And as they continue walking, what is that? What would you, in passing, if you had your 30-second elevator speech, is that what you just gave us, or would you come up with something else, and in passing?
Well, I certainly think it's where I would lean into. It's really about where the arts engage community. It's a place where our community partners can have a place to also come and bring members of the community, in addition to the programs that we're putting on there as well, too. It's a place where new events can be tried and small organizations can try something out. But it's also a place where you may not be a musician, you may not be a singer, you may not be somebody who's in the theater, but you may have always enjoyed it. You may have always wanted to connect with it. And this is a place where you can do that, whether you have loved it all your life and never participated, or participated all your life and want to take the next step.
All right, and that's just an in-passing conversation. See, fortunately with this program, we have a little more time. So what we'd like to do is start by showing our viewers this Tenaska Center. If we could put up a photo. Andy, before we go inside this building, it's 4 stories and it's nearly 100,000 square feet. So what can people expect just briefly on each of the floors?
Well, before you even get into it, one of the cool things about it is that between this and the steel house opposite the Tenaska Center, it shapes the entire entrance of how you come into the city of Omaha. Once you come in there, it's the building itself, even though it looks like there's a mirror facade, it's all glass. It's all transparent, and that's one of the things that we wanted to provide as an inspiration, is that it's really about seeing the process. It's being open, it's being vibrant and live. And so again, there are 4 floors to the building. The ground floor off of Dodge Street is that main lobby entrance there that you see, that's kind of jutting out from the building. And then there's an administrative level, which is kind of our floor 2, but we actually call that our administrative level because floor 2 is where all the excitement and the activities start. Yeah. So we have a wonderful 160 seat performance space, which is also a rehearsal space, this beautiful lobby, which is very inspiring and invigorating, and a wonderful brand new event center that's also been built to help with conferences and weddings and terrific events that are also part of a very important part of our mission. And then on the 3rd floor, the top floor, are 9 different rehearsal and classroom spaces, all acoustically superior and vibrant, all hooked up with projection and audio capabilities, pretty much with the capacity to do pretty much anything that anybody wants to do in the performing arts.
Wow, okay. And here's another photo. Anything to say about that one?
This is one of our classrooms. And again, all these spaces are multi-purpose spaces, so they can be pretty much used for anything. You saw a couple of rehearsal and practice rooms. And this is an actual photo of our event center, which again is open all in glass. It looks over the Jean Leahy Mall. It's an absolutely wonderful connector to the rest of all of the beautiful refinements that have been being built in downtown Omaha.
So on March 22nd, you had an open house, and there were a variety of demonstrations going on. So my question is, with these demonstrations presenting opportunities for whom?
It's easy to say opportunities for everybody because that is what we ultimately aspire to. But the activations that we saw on Sunday, March the 22nd, which were just amazing because it was also the first time the building came to life. You look at that beautiful building and these beautiful spaces, but they're built for activities to happen in them. And so this was the first time we started to see dancers and hear music reverberating through the entire space because we had the doors open. But they are, again, designed to be active engagement spaces for classrooms, for classes, for meetings, as well as conferences, but also for the rehearsal process, small performances, poetry readings, small theater programs, everything that you can possibly think of, whether we're putting them on or whether it's one of our local organizations.
Wow. All right. I would imagine you heard a lot of feedback that day. Was there anything that struck you? Maybe it was something that was said a number of times. Maybe it was something that was just said once that just really struck a chord with you in terms of the community's feedback to what you were offering.
I think that one of the things that was the most important to me, again, as I've only lived in the Omaha area for 6 years, and before that I was on the East Coast. So perspective can be a little bit different. And what's so amazing to me is that the artists themselves who were there were amazed that there was something this beautiful and wonderful for them. And that struck me as not necessarily surprising, but just wonderfully, again, invigorating, because Omaha deserves this. The people of Omaha, the community of Omaha, the artists of Omaha deserve to be in a world-class venue just as much as New York City or LA or Chicago. And this is really that. And so to be able to provide that for these local artists, for our kids, for any members of our community is something that I felt really, really happy about.
Okay, talk to us a little bit about the cost of this project, how the project was funded, and the investment to Omaha.
Absolutely. Well, the building cost $108 million to build, and almost all of it, more than 90% of it, was through private and individual donations. So that spoke a lot about the philanthropic community that really came together to help build this facility. And we take great pride and value in knowing that we're being entrusted with a wonderful building for the community as well.
Okay. Benefits to Nebraska. I know anybody walking through that building, and most of them, I would imagine, were people from around the immediate area. But Omaha Performing Arts is the largest arts organization in the state of Nebraska. And while you are housed here, you have an outreach across the entire state. Talk about how Nebraskans benefit through your existence.
Well, it's a mutual relationship. As you said, we are the largest arts organization in the state of Nebraska, and over more than half of the people who visit Omaha Performing Arts are actually from outside of Douglas County. And it's an important thing that attracts people to Omaha, but also helps with the businesses. We try to talk about all the things that we do for the performing arts, but we're an economic vehicle for the city. We're last year generated over $61 million in economic activity for the downtown area alone. But as you said, it's not just about Omaha. We believe it's the largest arts organization in a state such as Nebraska, is that we have a duty to be a champion for the performing arts across the entire state. And we do actually have a handful of programs that reach very much regionally into the center, at least the center of the state, but we also have at least one program which is throughout the entire state of Nebraska in all 93 counties, and is something that we've been doing for well over 10 years.
So tell us what that is.
So that's the Nebraska Theater Academy. It is a program that we run that's our musical theater program. And we have a partnership with Broadway in New York. And ostensibly what happens is that high school and middle schools participate in submitting their own high school musical for adjudication. And on top of that, singers from each one of the schools can compete in a statewide audition, and the top 2 performers of that audition spend a week on Broadway with students from all over the country with Broadway choreographers and singers, and they get to perform on the Amundsen Theater stage where the Lion King performs still on Broadway, all together in this national showcase, which is a great opportunity for them. But what we also do is do our own showcase of musicals that are happening throughout the entire state. We typically have more than 80 schools that participate, and many of these schools win awards, and they come together to perform on the Orpheum stage. And we provide these pretty much for free. We do most of the subsidies to help the schools bring them here. And the other thing that we do, which we absolutely love, is we actually do a state tour every year where we fly out to Denver, Colorado with a Broadway performer, and we make a circuitous 1,500-mile trip stopping at 15 to 20 schools throughout the entire state, bringing a Broadway performer to do master classes at the schools across the entire state.
Why is this so important?
Well, it's important for many, many reasons. It's important because people find their community through the performing arts. They find things they never knew that they were excited about. We all know about the arts and creating inspiration and creativity, but it's also about a sense of belonging. And you hear so many stories of kids who are living in urban, suburban, and rural parts of the country who, again, they find their purpose, they find their voice, they find their confidence, they find their people through the performing arts. And so obviously that's a really important thing, but again, the performing arts are something that brings people together, especially in tumultuous times. We're an economic driver for the state as well as the city of Omaha. And so all these things go together in a very symbiotic relationship that make the performing arts more than just what they are as an art form.
When you talk about the arts being open to everyone and how there's something for everyone, I'm thinking about all the things that you just said, awesome. But the arts in terms of being a healer, right? So when you're talking about all those different audiences out there that you're trying to serve, there are some people who are coming into your doors hurting and looking for a way to heal. And I can't even imagine, and I'm gonna ask you, the feel good that has for someone like you in your position, knowing you have the opportunity every day to make a difference in someone's life, either through the way you described it for the high school students, or maybe even a veteran who might come to you in one of these new programs that you're putting together.
You're absolutely right. And again, that goes with the idea of the Center for Arts Engagement, is that the classes and camps that we are developing are going to serve students who are interested in advancing their knowledge in the performing arts, both on stage and off stage, backstage and around the stage. But we are also creating programs to do exactly what you suggest, is to engage every single age demographic, and I do mean every single one. We have entry programs for parents with kids as young as 6 months old, all the way through advanced age, people who want to find community, find social activity, find aerobic activity through the performing arts, find out more about knowledge, and again, as you said, find who they are again. And so we've got a collective number of partnerships with people who are working with veterans with PTSD, persons with both physical and neurodivergent special needs, who have lost their voice. And I don't mean laryngitis. I mean, they've lost their sense of identity. They've lost their purpose. And the arts have helped them find a way back. And we've seen examples of this where we've invited members of the community to become a part of one of these programs, and they take the stage and they realize that they're on the same stages as our performing artists are that travel all over the world. And for them, it provides a sense of self-being that they may have lost for 10 to 20, 30, 40 years.
Wow. Why did you become involved in this?
Well, as you can tell, I don't have a passion for this at all.
Not at all. Not at all, Andy. No.
I have to say, I'm not going to go into the whole story, but why this part invigorates me. In fact, the reason why I took the position that I'm in here is because it's my job is programming and education. As a part of education, it's also combines engagement. And we kind of look at the two things a little bit differently. We talk about education is to teach and engagement is to reach. And unlike a number of performing arts centers across the country, one of the things that I valued about this particular institution is that when we bring in a lot of our shows, we bring them in because they're incredible performers, best performers in the country, including performers here locally. But we also want to make sure that they can connect. We want to make sure that we provide a conscious and intentional opportunity that if we have an artist who can do something off the stage, that actually might be the primary reason that we're bringing them here. Yes, we've got incredible commercial shows and Broadway shows that bring in thousands and thousands of people, which is equally as important. But we also have programs that, as you said, are showing people who are bringing voices from all over the world, from all different walks of life, and they're resonating with smaller pockets of the community. And so we take them off the stage and we bring them out there. And being in a position that allows me to consciously think about how the ripple effects can be caused by bringing in artists that can impact the community in addition to doing the performance is one of the reasons why I'm here.
So talk about your staff. This programming and education staff, and how it is that you're all working together to bring this to light.
Well, I'll talk both in terms of in terms of the programming and education department, but I do have to say that they are absolutely wonderful. They are dedicated. They've been with the organization for a long period of time. They feel as passionate about what the performing arts can do as I can. They bring as much joy to the students who are coming to perform as they do to their work and their everyday life. But again, one of the reasons that makes this organization very special is that as we've been building the Tenaska Center, every department has been asking, how do we make this work? How do we make sure that we provide the best, most welcoming experience from a security standpoint, from a facility standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, from even the artists that are coming in here? If there are commercial artists that are coming in here that we know they have a propensity to want to go and do something else, that we offer that opportunity. So it's not just about what we're doing in programming and education. It's about the whole organization working together.
Wow. And have you adjusted to this new big, beautiful space? Are you adjusting?
We are definitely adjusting. We've got a great team that's been very, very flexible ever since COVID. We have come back from having to adjust all the things that we had to deal with COVID, and we're still dealing with a few things left over. And then we added the Steel House, and that became a huge part of the organization. That was also a game changer and a shift in business structure. And now we've brought this building on board with the Tenaska Center, and so we're changing and adding again. So we're still in the process of adapting, but man, do we have a great group of staff that are really good at doing it.
And amidst all of this wonderfulness, I'm going to ask you, what's next for OPA?
Well,
on the horizon?
I will say we've got a lot of very interesting ideas that are on the horizon. I will say from my standpoint, what I really want to see develop is, the content and the relationships that we're putting together in the Tenaska Center. We've got a plan to develop these classes and camps over the next 3 years. And as we talked about, how arts can help with community health, with feeling that they belong by finding their voice, that how we institutionalize that so that it is, again, we talk about economic development, we talk about cultural development, we talk about arts development. How do we talk about community development from a well-being and an identity standpoint that the arts play a pivotal role in? We always know they have, but how do we actually institutionalize that?
Okay, we have just a few minutes remaining. A little date on the calendar, Saturday, April 11th. What's happening on that day?
So Saturday, April 11th is our community open house for our camps and classes, where people can come in and at 9 o'clock in the morning and see and sample and participate or try out or just look at everything that we have to offer. All of our community partners are going to be there, all of our classes. We've got over 40 events that are happening. They're all for free. There's no registration required. If you show up on April 11th, we're having a flash sale where you can actually enroll and get 50% off the cost of the class or tuition. We've got bounce houses and face painters and performances that are happening. It's a real three-ring circus over the three-storied building.
And no one's sleeping until then, right?
No, we've all set up cots in various parts of our offices, and we just keep on going.
I was going to ask, though, and we do have just a couple minutes left, how do you even begin to prepare for that? We're talking about a building that's nearly 100,000 square feet, and you're going to have stuff going on throughout, correct?
Absolutely.
So you're just night and day working on this thing.
We are, but again, as long as we've been planning for the building to open, we've been planning for the content to go in it. And so between the staffing and looking at other institutions and how they deal with it and finding out other best practices, we've been doing our own rehearsal for many years to get to this point.
Talking with Andy Cassano today about the Tenaska Center for Arts Engagement. I want to ask you final thoughts, maybe something I didn't ask today, or just something that you want to share with the viewers about the Tenaska Center.
I guess it's really a reinforcement about this building is built for people to engage in the arts. So if you've ever had that feeling, whether you're a student of the arts or not, come and find out what you have that you can experience.
Okay, thank you. Folks wanting more information, we're going to put a graphic up for you. So this is opa.org, that's o-pa.org/Tenaska. The number you want to call, 402-345-0202. That will get you to the main desk there. They're going to get you anywhere you want to go in the building. Andy, thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure, thank you.
And thanks to you and your team. We wish you the very, very best in your teaching and reaching
thank you.
Everybody across the state. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks to our students who are working so hard behind the scenes, and of course to all of you for watching. We'll see you next week.
Consider This is an issues and information program produced by UNO Television in the School of Communication. More information and program archives can be found at nebraskapublicmedia.org/considerthis. If you'd like to share your comments about this program, call the UNO School of Communication at 402-554-2600 during regular business hours. Or send an email to cwyatt@unomaha.edu.
Breaking news this morning, traffic is backed up for miles.
In the noise of every day, tune into peace. Stay classical, Omaha.
You are a maverick. You stand ready to change the world. You are an innovator with bold ideas and a vision for the future. You are determined to turn your dreams into reality. You are a leader, committed to making a difference. With Omaha as your campus, you're at the center of it all. Here at UNO, you dare to dream, to innovate, to lead, to shape a brighter future. You are a Maverick.